At the Rainbow Room for years, I had a product called Ray and Nephew Pimento Dram Liqueur. And I put it in my planter's punch, which was really more of a zombie, but it was the punch of my plantation, the Rainbow Plantation. And I did a drink called the Añejo Highball, which a lot of bars do around here and there. And I had another drink called the Pilgrim's Cocktail. And all of them had one thing in common: Pimento Dram Liqueur from the Ray and Nephew Company in Jamaica. It was an intense allspice. Pimento, by the way, is a Spanish word for pepper. And when they first came over and were exploring the Spice Islands in the West Indies, they saw the local Indians putting these berries into their food and beverage, and they thought they must be peppercorns, so they called them pimento. In fact, they were allspice. But now the word has stuck in their liqueur, Pimento Dram Liqueur, and in their bitters. Pimento, it's really just allspice. And this is really basically an allspice bitters because it's 90% allspice. But that flavor was so intense that I got from the Ray and Nephew liqueur that I missed it when they took it off the market, which they did. Turns out that I was one of 2 customers in the United States buying this stuff in the 90s, and it wasn't worth their while to sell it anymore, so they took it off the market, and I was left without this great flavor. So maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I'm fooling around in the kitchen with some 100-proof vodka, some allspice berries, a little anise, star anise at the time, and a little dried orange peel, trying to recreate that flavor with a little demerara sugar. And I got it to the point where I thought it was pretty close. And I called an old friend of mine who makes absinthe in Combier, France, Ted Bro. And I mean, he makes some special absinthe. Ted is a chemical engineer from New Orleans who fell in love with the whole idea of absinthe when he found a couple of old bottles in his grandmother's closet. And being a chemical engineer, he reverse engineered it and found out what was in it. He said, hell, I can make this stuff. And he went through a few years realizing it wasn't quite as easy as he thought it was. But when he managed to source the botanicals from the right countries and get the proper base alcohol, he did end up making some really excellent absinthe. One of them is 1901, which you may have in your market, and another one is called Nouvelle Orleans, and they're really very special and not cheap. I'm going to tell you they're $100 a bottle, probably in your Australian dollars, but they're worth it. They're amazing, and you use them in dashes anyway in Sazeracs. And a Sazerac made with true absinthe, rather than Pernod or an absinthe substitute, is a thing to behold. So anyway, Ted said, when I sent him the bottle, I said, "Can you make this for me?" I said, "Yeah, I think I can." And that was 3.5 years ago, and he's been sending me samples for the last 3 years, back and forth. And finally we got one last year that seemed right, and I said, well, let's go for it. And what this is most bitters, when they make them with whole botanicals, they'll macerate for 15 days or something like this. This is macerated for 30 days. That's his absinthe training. He used whole botanicals, allspice, bitter orange peel, anise. I'm not supposed to tell you which one because he'll kill me if I do. And there's another ingredient which I can't even think about mentioning because he wants it to remain secret. Anyway, it has four special ingredients, 5 if you count the demerara sugar, which takes a little bit of the edge off the bitterness of it. And you'll find if you taste Angostura bitters that there's a lot of sugar. Angostura bitters is almost a beverage. Anyway, it's intense. It's 45% alcohol. And allspice, of course, exhibits clove, nutmeg, ginger, and cinnamon. And this will take you through that, starting probably with clove and a little bit of anise, and then ending with cinnamon, a little ginger, and nutmeg in between. So it's an intense and interesting aromatic addition to the bitters world. Pimento bitters. Try it out.